Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Raiken Profit, coming back to you with another video. And today we are talking with Jonathan David, who is actually a student of the Wholesale Formula. He actually built a wholesale business, been doing it for quite a few years, has sold over 8 figures. And in his first year, he ended up selling $1 million wholesale in his business. So Jonathan is here. He's going to talk about his story, give you guys a bunch of tips and tricks, discussing how he actually transitioned from hustling and flipping items to now doing wholesale, has a lot of big goals and everything, and just a great guy. So I want to introduce Jonathan. How are you doing?
Good, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you being here, man. And very curious about your story, because we were talking off the air for a couple of minutes about, my audience and my journey. And, I do a lot of thrifting, eBay, Amazon and stuff. And you really related to that. And you were smiling a couple of times because you were like, I remember I was there and I felt the same pain points that we feel at times, always having to go out and find new items and bring it back and working 50, 60 hours a week. And our income's just kind of stuck. We want to grow, we want to build, but we're just having a hard time. So do you mind sharing a little bit about your story?
Yeah. So, I guess I'll say my story started, I started selling on Amazon in 2012, selling textbooks. That's when, right now it's kind of tough to sell textbooks, but that's how I got started. But before that, I was, and during that time, I was a sales rep at T-Mobile. So a lot of people don't really talk much about what they did before the online game, but I've been doing a lot of reflecting recently, and I realized that it played a big part in everything. So I was in a commission. What that is, sales rep is just a commission-based job. So you live off the hustle. You kill, you eat what you kill, and that's basically it. Like I was bred that way, and that's kind of why I fell in love with Amazon, because it was just like commissions, and then our payout and our profits. And when you hustle and you sell stuff, it's profits, it's commission. But as soon as the month is over or the payout's over, like if you stop, you don't eat. Like that's just how it works. So, but anyway, so I got into textbooks when I realized that, actually before that, also I studied finance. So I was always doing, I was trying to outsmart, the stock market. I was always wanted to know, like, how can I just put in, a little bit of money or some money and just not have to work again. Like that was when I was 17, 16, 18, like that is what I thought my life would be. Like I'll get some money somehow. Like I'll work at McDonald's, I'll get some money. Cause I knew I wasn't a good student. I wasn't somebody that would just be in a suit and tie and be a lawyer. I just knew I couldn't be that person. So I was like, look, how do I just get $10,000 and then every year save $10,000? I live at home with my base in the basement for like 10 years at my parents' house. I'll save $10,000 a year working at McDonald's, but I'll put it into stocks and I'll invest in stocks and I'll become rich. So basically I did that, and I studied finance, went to school for finance. I did a lot of research on stocks, and then I realized that, hey, like it's not possible. I put the money in. I had actually a lot of early success, but that early success got me cocky, and then I put more money in, and then I ended up losing everything. And I'm like, I lost so much money. I was at the point where I was like, man, I'm never going to do this again. Like I have to figure out how to really follow what my parents said, go to school, work hard, get a good job, make $40,000, $50,000 a year, work your way up. And, that's what you're going to do. So I was like, all right, well, that makes sense, because I tried my way. And the lazy mentality I had, we just get rich quick, that didn't work out. So basically, I told myself, man, like I lost so much money though. I was like, if I ever, the only time I'll ever invest in the stock market again is if I could predict what it's going to do. Like the moment I could predict what it's going to do is the moment I will start investing, but I knew I could never predict. Like I knew that didn't exist. So it was really a way of me telling myself, never gamble, never do something that was gambling. So I would classify myself as a gambling addict, but that's for another story. But really, so I ended up, when I was in college, I just had my textbooks laying around, and I decided to just look up one of the textbooks on Amazon, and I saw it was selling for like $10, let's say, and I bought the book for $50. I was like, cool. And I didn't end up selling it. And then since my dad paid for my books, he was like, you know, I was not even doing good in school. He was like, hey, why don't you go sell the books again? Why don't you sell the books? Why give me some money back? Like just give me some money back for the books
Right.
I bought, like, at least, because you're not doing good in school. I was like, oh shoot, all right. So I go look it up, and I look it up online, and I'm like, the book is $58. I'm like, how is the book $58 if I bought it for $50? And last month or 2 months ago, it was $10. Like, that doesn't make sense. And I started thinking about it, and I looked it up, and then it hit me that all the stuff I was learning in school hit me that, you know, supply and demand and all these things. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, so you're telling me that what causes the price? Oh, wait, maybe more kids want the books now and they don't want them when I was trying to sell them, like, because when the semester starts.
Right.
Duh. And then I was like, if that's true, that's crazy. And then I started stumbling on Camel is a software like Keepa nowadays. It's back in the day. And I looked at it and I saw the graphs. And when I saw the graphs, that the price of a old edition textbook was, you know, $10 or $8 last year or 6 months ago, and then every semester it goes up $60. I'm like, that's insane. So you're telling me I could predict the future? Like, you're telling me I could do that?
Yeah.
So the moment that happened, I completely took all my savings at the time. I had, you know, $10,000 saved up from, you know, trying to work hard, doing what I was doing. And I just started buying everybody's books. I went to all my friends and family's house and emptied their bookshelf. I bought all my kids and friends in school, all the classes books, try to resell them. And that's kind of how I got into Amazon. And then after that, I was like, man, like, I'm going to have to stay in college forever because I'm not going to know when I'm going to run out of books. Like, I need to stay in college to buy books. Like, that was the joke that I made to myself and my friends. But then, I was like, okay, like, what? Like, I'm not going to always have some books. Like, what do I do now? And then I saw Rob Anderson. I don't know if anybody knows Rob Anderson. He was
Dollar Moves.
That
man,
was one
of
of
Rob Anderson. He's the man.
Rob Anderson, I'm giving you a shout out, but he's the OG. Like, when I saw, at the time, I kind of didn't even want to even look on Amazon, look online to see if there was any guides, because I was too scared to see that other people were like doing what I was doing. I wanted to keep it a secret. And then, but I peeked online. And I saw Dollar Moves was I think recently starting up, and he was talking about Q4 is crazy. And I'm like, what does Q4 being crazy have to do with anything? Like, I'm selling textbooks. But then but I was like, wait, so maybe toys has the same effect. So then I found myself in Toys R Us all the time, and just getting, you know, toys. And I saw that they're old toys that sell for a lot. So I was absolutely like, they were like, back in the day in Toys R Us, when no one knew about retail arbitrage, like, there was like dusty Legos on top of the overstock, on top of the shelves all the time that nobody knew about. I was getting ladders and climbing on the ladders like an employee, like getting all this stuff. And they've been up there for 6 or 7 years. So there's so much dust on them. And then when you scan them, since they've been around for so long, they're $2 because that's their markdown price. But they sell for $400 and $300.
Oh my God.
So I was like, it was like finding gold, but I was on the emotional high from that. I was like, wow, this is the best. So all I did was I should have gone harder. Like, I was in school, but I did it 1 day a week. And I was, you know, my first year doing that, I did about 600,000, you know, all my retail arbitrage business was from one store. Toys R Us. I didn't diversify in stores. Like, I memorized the aisles, the markdown schedules, the employees, the computer system. Like, I didn't go to Target. I didn't go to Walmart. I didn't have many of them either, but I just focused on Toys R Us and just completely, you know, did arbitrage like crazy. And looking back, I wish I just had dropped out of school and did everything, because all I did, I spent 1 day sourcing, but I would come home with a complete van full of toys that it would take me the whole rest of the week to prep and ship it out and get it ready and get it sold. So that's what I used to do. But that was fun. That was exciting when it happened. And I did that for, you know, about 2 years, doing retail arbitrage. And then I was like, man, I got to make things easier, because remember, I'm a lazy guy at heart. So I'm like, hey, like, I gotta like get this a little easier. And then OA started to be a thing. I'm like, I didn't think that would be possible. I don't think it'd be possible that you could just order something from the internet and then sell it on the internet. Like, doesn't make sense. But then it made sense, and then I did it. And then prep centers came out at the same time. So I was able to just do a lot of, you know, work like that with arbitrage. And So basically that was kind of like, arbitrage for me. But then that was after doing that for a while, there was just so many stores just saying, hey, we can't sell to you. You're a reseller. You bought too much. Quantity flags. I'm like, okay, everybody's doing this now. Like, that is why it's happening. Like, I know I'm not the only one. Like, maybe I'm the one that broke them. Maybe, but there's things we did with, to try to like have multiple browsers and all that stuff back in the day. But like in different IPs and emails and whatever. Long story. We did a lot to try to get our orders in. But I just realized, I'm like, man, like I'm 23 years old. I'm not going to be doing this for the next 20 years. So like, what can I do? Like, I need to stop. Like, this is not going to keep happening. Like, a lot of people who are doing arbitrage right now, like, I feel bad that they're making this decision to completely just say, no, arbitrage is all I'm going to do. Because what it is a great hustle. It's an amazing hustle. But if you view it as this is going to be my career forever, like, that could be difficult, because it's just view it as a hustle. And I saw you, Steve, even had a video about you're buying a house. Like, take all that hustle money and put it somewhere like that. Like, it's just like, it's like being in the NBA or NFL. NFL stands for NFL athletes, NBA athletes. They get a bunch of money all at once, and it's no different from that, probably to a smaller scale, because it's like, you really don't, sad to say, and I'm talking to myself too, like 23-year-old Jonathan, like 22-year-old, you didn't have the skills to really earn that amount of money that you were earning. Like, the amount of money you were earning, $500 an hour doing arbitrage, $1,000 an hour. Like, you think you're the man, right? But you're not, because you don't have professional skills to actually take that money and do something with it. So you should just always be like, hey, this is not going to happen for the next 20 years. This might happen for the next 5 years. So for 5 years, I'm going to make as much money as I can and take that money, invest it somewhere else that has nothing to do with Amazon, nothing to do with eBay. And that way, like, when things do change, whether they disappear or change to a level where it's a lot harder, you're not wondering where your next meal is going to come from. That's always,
and things are changing like crazy right now, man. Like, sorry to interrupt you, but the retail arbitrage game is like completely changing with all these restrictions and everything with Amazon, like dramatically over the last year. Yeah,
for sure. And like, I kind of see, I never got into the restrictions game where I was getting in trouble from restrictions. If anything, like, I felt early on that the writing was on the wall. In about 2015 is when I pivoted into wholesale, when it was like, hey, like, you go to a store and they say, no, you can't buy 5, you can't buy 50, you can only buy 3.
Right.
I'm like, that makes no sense. It does make sense from their standpoint, but from my standpoint, I understand why they don't want us to buy all their lost leaders. That makes perfect sense. I agree with them. But from my standpoint, at the time, I was like, this makes no sense. Like, is this my business is to do this, and you're telling me no? And I can get emotional about it. But then instead, I started to think back to what I was actually learning in college. I talk a lot of smack about college on the offline, by the way. But then some of the college knowledge starts to come back, and I started to think about it. And I'm like, okay, I studied finance. And in finance, there was actually the term arbitrage was used. And all arbitrage really means is in the real, not the real world, but the offline world, the world that existed thousands of years or before the online world. The word arbitrage just means riskless profit because of inefficiencies in the marketplace. So when you make a riskless profit because the market is inefficient, like, a market being inefficient means that the price is not correct. That's when you hear that term, inefficient market. So in the stock market, there's a thing called efficient market hypothesis and inefficient. I don't want to get too technical because a lot of people fell asleep during this lesson. But I was pretty in tune to it because I lost a lot of money doing this before, right? And I always wondered why I lost money, because I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. But then when you realize that the markets, whether it's the financial markets, the stock markets, can be inefficient, that means that it's priced incorrectly, or efficient and it's priced correctly. But how could it be priced incorrectly? And really, when I found out, my professor was saying, well, the price of a stock can be too high when people just think it's worth more than it is, aka Bitcoin last year. Or inefficient is when it's worth less, it's worth more than people think it is. So it's like you could have a really good company. Like in 2008, 2007, there was a good company, like call it Google. Google is a great company. They make so much money. Like just because 1 year passes or 1 day passes and it crashes and it's now worth half of what it was. That doesn't mean it's worth half what it was. Like that company is making billions of dollars the day before it crashed and the same amount of money, like almost the same the day after. So it's like this idea that is worth less is they come up with the word, the name inefficient. That would mean it's inefficient. So then the reason why I bring all that up is because arbitrage is a riskless profit between that. And when I started to think about that, I remember that hit me in school because I was always thinking about how do I make money without losing anything? And it was riskless, sound great to me. And I said, hey, professor, why is it that why? So you can just keep doing this and make billions and billions of dollars and just keep doing, arbitrage in the financial markets? Because there's such a thing called arbitrage in the financial markets. Forgot to explain that, but there is a thing called arbitrage in the financial market. You can make a riskless profit by buying something in like one currency and selling it in another currency at the right time, and you make like 20 cents. But if you do it on billions and trillions of dollars, you make a lot of money, and you do it over and over again. So I was like, so you can just keep doing this millions of times and just make billions of dollars? And my professor said, you can do it, but only for a limited amount of time, because the big players are called arbitrageurs, and eventually they bring everything down to equilibrium and the markets become efficient. So efficient market mean inefficient is too low, efficient is too efficient market means the price is right. So
correct.
Like, just like if you buy something from the store for $20 and it sells online for $20, like, or $26, adjusted for fees, like that would mean it's efficient. You wouldn't buy that thing to sell it because it's priced exactly. So it's like if that, by definition, arbitrage will always come to an equilibrium. Always. That's just the definition of what's happened before in other markets. So it's this market, it's the same concept, but people don't know that. You can see
it too. It used to be so wide in 2012, 13. It's slow. It's getting like, if you look at the prices, it's like everything's coming to an equilibrium. You can just,
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy you explained it that way, man. It's like you're blowing my mind.
Yeah, well, this is all that worthless college stuff that I thought was worthless, but it actually makes sense later on, right? But it's true, because whatever happens, we think we're all online, we're all spending a lot of time online. I do it myself, and we kind of get caught up in a bubble. But there's a whole world out there where things already happen. And if you look for parallels from the history and other industries, you'll see it plays out. And you can make better decisions when you kind of put yourself out a little bit and see that. But yeah, there's so many big players in the arbitrage space, like doing 100 million, 50 million, just doing arbitrage, that it makes it really hard for everyone else to do things. But you can still make money here and there, but it's harder. So that's kind of, I wasn't squeezed. I knew that it would get really hard. And for me, I have low tolerance for pain. Like, I don't want things to get hard on me. I felt like things were already hard enough when I lost a lot of money early on. When I was 18, I was just a young, poor little kid. So I was like, I don't want it to get hard. So I kind of was like, okay, in like 3 years is going to get really hard. And this was about 2015. That's when I was like, okay, how do I just replenish inventory over and over again and like not go to stores? Because that's all I did. I used to go to stores after stores. So, then I realized that I okay, well, can I just buy something in bulk from somewhere? So I looked into liquidations and pallets, and I was like, that looked sketchy to me, because then you had to buy a whole bunch of pallets. Not sketchy, but kind of like arbitrage, because it's a bunch of pallets. And then you had to like check everyone, and half of it would be bad and the other half would be okay. Yeah, so I was like, that to me is also a guess. I don't want to guess. I just want the most boring, guaranteed way to make money. Like, what's the most boring? Like, because I had enough failures.
You wanted the predictability. You wanted that reoccurring cash flow. You wanted to know that the money was going to keep coming. You didn't want ups and downs, kind of like the arbitrage.
Yeah, and also because the predictability means you can plan things. You can plan your rent. You can plan your life. You could do so much. You can hire once you have predictability. If you don't have predictability, then it's hard. And also, I wanted to be able to work, to have things going without me working. I've been working so hard, and coming from the sales background, commission background, well, like the moment you stop, you're done. you know? So I was like, I wanted to just do something once and then it just continue going forever. Like,
Got it.
that's just the lazy mentality that I have. So I started looking into wholesale in 2015. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to just Google wholesale. And there was like, I signed up for a bunch of directories. I don't know if you know Sale Who and Worldwide Brands, but those, I thought the moment I signed up for that, I was like, oh, wholesale directories, you just have to pay us $69 for a year. We can go in, you can see a list of suppliers and then just make, you know, plug and play and you make a bunch of money. And I watched the video, their sales video, and I was like, this is amazing. And I told my wife right after that, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to the stores anymore. We're going to make $10,000 a month from this profit easily. Like I told her, it's going to be an easy
it's going down. I got a plan.
And the plan was I just have to talk. I knew I had to talk to, you know, go through like, I have to have like 1,000 SKUs. If I had 1,000 SKUs that sold one thing, you know, I make $5 on that one thing, like that would make it. So I was like, let's do it. So I started looking in and I'm like, man, going through all the price lists. And I'm like, nothing's profitable, like, I don't know, like, this is not going to make any money. Like, this is horrible. And I was like, man, I got to be a better way. So then I realized, like, why don't I just call the brand directly? Like, there'll be more margin. And I'll just call the brand and do it. So I started to make a big list of brands. And the moment I was doing that, I saw Wholesale Formula popped up. And I'm like, what's this? And then some guys started talking, Dan, Eric, and started talking. And I'm like, okay, like, you're talking about what I'm right about to do. So I'm like, I can either... I was like a little bit at the time. I was like, well, like I'm about to do this. Like I kind of was like a little prideful into the sense where I was like, I don't really need their help. Like I don't need their help. I could do it. And like, you know, but like, let me just see what it's about. And, you know, I kind of like don't want the competition, like, you know, but I was like, all right, whatever. Let me just take the plunge. At the time, it was like, you know, 800, 900 or something for the course. That was when it was beta launch. So these are just some unknown guys. I'd never heard of them before. I'd never seen them in a Facebook group. And it was the most expensive decision I ever made. All my courses have been like $25 courses up to this point. And I'm like, what? Because that was all that was out there. And then I took the course. I took the course, but really, I mean, I bought the course, but really, I took like just about 2 modules of the course because I didn't really need to know like how to do this and that. Like I already had the concept in my brain. The one thing I was missing was just like, you know, the community. The moment I got in there, it was a community of about 150 people who were doing the same thing as me. And Dan and Dylan and Eric, they were just any stupid question I had, like a dumb question, like what is a PO? You know, like they're asking me for a PO. What do I do? Like things like that. like you could Google my name, like not Google, but search my name in the group eventually, you know, whoever is in the group, and just see like the dumb questions I used to ask. And they would just answer me in like these answers that were like blog post answers because they just really wanted to help. And they still do that after 4 years. They still do that. And that's because they really care. And but literally just that, if all I did was answer one of my questions, it was worth the money because people don't realize that. People don't realize that it's like, it's not hard. Like wholesale is not hard. It's just required. You call people, you call brands, and then you buy their stuff and you sell it on Amazon. Like that's really what it is. The hard part is getting the confidence to do it. And like when you're in a situation and knowing that you have somebody else that can help you in your corner, like you don't have to know all the answers. You just need to act like you know half the answers, be confident, and then you can still get help from people in your network. And I was adding them to my network. And at the time I didn't know that was what I was doing. I thought I was buying a course, but I literally looked at 2 modules, like one on something and one on how to make the website. And that's all. But I know a lot of people do watch the courses, and the courses are updated all the time, and they're great. But yeah, like I really that in 2016 was when I took that course, and I really dove in. And that same year, I moved. I was living in New York at the time, and I knew it was going to be really successful. So I moved from New York to Florida because, like, you know, taxation and all that. But I told myself, you know, this was the first time I was moving away from my home, my family, my wife moved, and I told myself I don't have any income, so I could do RA and OA on the side and do wholesale. Also, but then I knew my own capacity. Like I knew that, yeah, that sounds good in theory. Like, yeah, why stop something that's working? And I'm not telling anyone to do this,
Right.
but I knew, like, okay, arbitrage is not going to be around. So why do it? Just completely give it up. And just like, if it takes me 2 years to figure out wholesale by splitting my focus, like, I rather just not split my focus and it take me 6 months. Like, I don't care what it takes. Like, I'll not make money for 6 months. So during those 6 months, my wife was like saying, you need to do away. Like, because I had so many good sources. Like, I gave my sources away to, like, friends and family, and they were able to make like thousands and thousands just by doing nothing, because I just giving them the sources. And so, I mean, if at that time, 2016, if you guys had messaged me if you want sources, like, I probably would have given you. So, but
Bolos.
yeah, I had so many bolos back then. But anyway, so yeah, like, I literally quit cold turkey, and then I went all into it. But it's still, with their help, even with their help, like, it really took me like 6 or 7 months to really like get a hang of it. But then month 7 to 9 is when I went from like 20K a month. Well, first it was 0, and then from 0 to 20K after like 7 months, which was hard. But then everything started to click. Like, I perfected my pitch. I knew what to say. I had the confidence. Like, that was the built up. And I was really believing what was going to happen. And then from month 7 to month 9 is when I was doing 80,000, 90,000 a month. So it just completely just went from, like, literally, like, I could have quit. Like, this is horrible. Like, it's not worth it, to like just going straight to, a 7-figure run rate pretty quickly. So that's kind of like, and after I did that, I was like, wow, this is real. I need to stop. I need to stop actually just doing wholesale in the way I'm doing wholesale, because I knew that just doing wholesale is also a form of arbitrage, because it's like, you contact a brand, you buy their stuff, and then sell it. Like, it's an easier arbitrage, and I call it in my group wholesale arbitrage. And a lot of people talk about that right now, and they talk about it like, quit your job, do wholesale arbitrage. I mean, I wouldn't quit my job and do wholesale arbitrage. I would just, keep your job and do wholesale arbitrage unless you're doing it really big. But just know that it's not permanent. And I started to think, like, what's permanent? And nothing's permanent, but like, I think one of the most permanent things, even more permanent than private label, which everyone seems to call the holy grail, is that, when you build real relationships with people, and you're not hiding behind a computer all the time, and you build a relationship with the supplier, and they're a human being, and you can, shake their hands and look them in the eye and talk to them, that's a relationship. So people complain about race to the bottom. Well, if you're doing arbitrage, by definition, it's going to race to the bottom, because the markets go to equilibrium. It is by definition. So I always, chuckle when I see people not know that race to the bottom is the name of the game of arbitrage. But when you have a relationship, there is no race to the bottom, because all you have to do, and there's no such thing as bad margins, because you just tell your wholesale supplier, hey, I have no margin. Can we have a map pricing? Can we start a map pricing that gives us more margin? Can you give me a better price or something? Can you pay us a little bit for advertising? Like, those doors open up when you have a relationship. Like, so many people do wholesale and they're like, yeah, I'm scanning price lists, I'm not finding anything. And I'm like, even during, they're doing the wholesale formula. So I'm like, well, yeah, wholesale formula has been around for 4 years. Like, the days of scanning price lists are over. I used to scan price lists, and that was kind of hard, but I wouldn't say it's over, because it's still you could still do it, but just know
it's not as easy, kind of like retail arbitrage.
Right. But again, keeping your head, if you're doing it, you can do it, but just know that what do you think is gonna happen in 3 years? Like, in 3 years, like, it's probably not good. Like, you and 500 other people are going to be doing it, so something is going to happen, right? The brand is going to have an exclusive seller. So it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, like, you have to figure out a way to work closer with the brand. So that's why when I started our first year, I had about 40 or 50 brands that I was ordering from, and then I basically just consolidated all. Like, look, we need to do exclusives with you guys, and it's hard to do exclusive. A lot of people say they try, and it is really hard. It's like getting married. Like, you can't just you can't just expect that to happen. Like, you have to have shown some value. You have to demonstrate that you are not like everybody else. Like, if you're asking to get married to this brand and this brand has 7 other suitors, yeah, if the brand has no one else, like, they'll take you, but they're probably a horrible brand. Like, but if a brand has 7 or 8 other sellers, like, why would they take you? Like, you have to really separate yourself, and not just, you can't just place one order and ask for exclusive like that. Like, we were doing that for over a year of track record. And then we started, out of our 36 brands, we whittled it down and we got 8 exclusives. We dropped all of our other brands, and our, revenue grew, even though we dropped SKUs. And it's hard to do that because it's like, I'm losing money. And, coming from the hustle mindset, it's like, well, that's money though. Like, why drop it? And it's because it's like, those guys don't want exclusive. And typically brands that are I noticed that are ran by 2nd generation owners, they're worried a lot about preserving what their parents built. They're not trying to like kick off all their dealers and start something fresh. It's you have to know going into it that you can't treat them differently than you treat a brand that is a founder. Founders are ready to go. They're energetic. But 2nd generation, they're different. So it's like, there's so many little things that you have to know. Like, it's really psychology and a mind game when you're talking to people, when you're building relationships. Relationship is empathy, learning what the other person wants. But like, nobody does that, because when you come from the world of hustle, it's like, there's nothing you've done so far in the hustle world to really learn like how to build a relationship. Like, when you flip on eBay, like, there's no relationship. You can just hide behind your computer and do it. Like, I did it, and I thought I wanted to be a billionaire doing that, but I realized like it's not possible. Like, you can't always hide. So like, when do you make the switch before things don't work out? So literally all we do going forward is we just try to build relationships with brands. That's our approach. That's what we take. Relationship, exclusive, and semi-exclusive, and that's about it. So that's kind of like how we started and where we're at right now. Like, we don't view things as an arbitrage play ever, because that's short term and not really, something I can bank on.
That's awesome, man. Really appreciate the story. If you guys are enjoying this video so far, definitely be sure to smash that like button and also leave a comment. Super inspiring story. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to this. I'm certainly relating a lot to it. And it's just been really cool to kind of just hear like, man, like that part where you said you would just be reaching, like climbing ladders and like pulling Legos off the top. Like, that was even before my time, man. I wasn't even doing it then. Like, it just super crazy, man. So couple more questions, because I know we're getting to that time. What are the biggest challenges people need to be on the lookout for when they make that transition over and they're getting started with wholesale, that first 90 to 180 days? What are a couple big things or mistakes that you made that maybe you can help the audience with?
Yeah. There's one thing I have to say. The biggest thing. I have a Facebook group where I teach a bunch of people how to go from transition from doing arbitrage to wholesale, and I have a blueprint, free blueprint. Probably Steve will put it in the description or something, where it's called the Arbitrage Transition Blueprint. Pretty much just talks about how to do the transition, but really, what I know that will cripple a lot of people making that transition is not knowing how much money they need to invest up front. Like, yes, sure, any business you can start with no money. Like, if anybody asks me, like, can you start a business with no money, or how little can you get started? Like, that's really not the question. Like, if you're asking how little does it take to get started with something, you're probably not ready. With arbitrage, yeah, sure, you could start something little, but like, if you're trying to start an actual business based on relationships, like, the answer should be like, when you ask how little does it take to get started, I'm gonna say it takes everything. It takes your whole life. Like, you should be willing to dedicate everything to it, or else don't do it. Like, I'm not sure why you'd want to do it. And if you're doing eBay and arbitrage and Amazon for a while, like, you'd make that jump because you know how hard it is. Like, people say the pain of, people only change when the pain of change is easier than the pain of staying the same. So some of you will be like, how little can I do to get started? And for you guys, I'd say don't get started. Like, just do what you're doing. You're probably liking what you're doing. Just keep doing it. I mean, it's fun. Like, I go into stores still, and like I just get so much PTSD and flashback. Like, I just want to climb on. I just want to scan this. Like, I want to, like, this is on sale. Like, but I have to stop myself. And then I'm like, because even though it's been so long, because it's so fun, like, it's fun. So if you're having fun, like, do it. Just take that one advice I gave earlier about, like, don't spend your money on, like, pretend that you're poor. Like, take all your money and invest it. Like, even if you invest it in like treasury notes or CDs, like, that's better than spending it, because too many people think that they're business owners, when if you have a transactional business, your job is very similar to an athlete or a commission-based person. Like, it's temporary. Just treat it that way, and put the money aside. But to get started, capital-wise, I would say like you should, if you're doing retail arbitrage and all that stuff, like, you should have $10,000 saved up. Like, if you don't have 10, in my group I say 4,000 to 6,000, but like at this point, like, I'm going to increase that and say, like, you should have $10,000 saved up, because you're going to make some bad choices early on. Like, in terms of buying, you're going to buy the wrong inventory, and that's the only way you're going to know what to buy the right inventory. Or you're going to make some mistakes, so we want to spread it off a couple brands. So it's like you have to give yourself that margin for error, because again, wholesale is not hard. You're calling a brand, or you're talking to a brand, and you're trying to sell their stuff. Like, that's not hard. What's hard is when you run into an obstacle, and when you run into an obstacle and then you just don't know how to react to that obstacle. You're like, oh my gosh, I failed. I'm a failure. This doesn't work. Like, and then you say, you know what, I'm going to keep going. And then you fail again. And then you're like, this definitely doesn't work, but I'm going to try one more time because I saw a motivational video today. And then, and then you get hit again. But like, you're going to, like, when I got started, like, every day I felt like I was getting punched in the stomach.
Wow.
Like just because of, bad buys. Like, there was one thing I bought. There was one thing, I found some suppliers. I was like, yes, this is great. I invested like $12,000 in it, which was like 90%, 80% of my budget. I was like, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to be rich. And then like a week later, all of it got tagged for hazmat, and I had to like, I was like, wow, the thing I put my hopes and dreams in, I was gonna like retire on this. I was like, it all went to hazmat. I mean, I'm approved for hazmat now, but at the time, this was years ago when hazmat was like not even.
That was a big thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was not even. You couldn't even get hazmat. So I was like, man, that took a while to get that. It took me 4 months of every day calling to have a good relationship with the brand. He approved me. We're on it, and then so. But there was just so many things that happened, like just cash flow issues, and just so many things that you got like getting rejected, getting hung up on, getting like, those type of things happen all the time. And it's like, you gotta have, you just have to have the fortitude to go through it. So that's why the $10,000 will protect you, give you a buffer for a lot of those things. It could be rejection. It could be bad inventory. Bad inventory hurts the most. They say psychologically that losing money, the chemical in your brain that gets released when you lose money is similar to the same chemical when someone dies. So people don't realize that the effect that it has on them. They might, like, you might talk about it casually, like, yeah, I made a bad inventory buy, whatever. But like, it's no secret why that can cripple someone's business. Like, it's no secret. Like, if someone dies and your business goes under, like, no one would blame you. So it's like, it's the same thing, but knowing up front that that's what your brain is going to do, like, just manage your brain. Like, know up front, it's going to happen. Have $10,000. Don't put it all in one place. Split that up over a couple of brands, and like, just don't go all in on something. And if you're just starting, definitely don't go all in, because you're going to think the first good opportunity, you're going to want to go all in, but you're not that smart. I'm just telling that to you because that's what I would tell myself. Like, the chances are that you found something that is so great up front, like, it's not that probable. And it might be, but like don't go all in because you still don't know what you don't know. Now, if you have somebody who's over here and they're able to ask you like, hey, can you like check if this is a good thing or not, then that's good. That's different. And chances are that person will still probably tell you not to go all in because they know that you still shouldn't. Like there was a time I opened up a mastermind where I had about some people come into my mastermind where I was doing, things like that for people. I'm not doing it right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to open it up again or what I'm going to do, but they would just say, hey, like I just got started. Like, is this good? And I could tell you every person who's said that to me, the first 3 to 5 of them have been horrible. I'm like, no, it's not good. It's not good. And those guys that they're watching, they know who they are. But now, now they're doing good. They know what's good. They know what's bad, and they're moving forward. But yeah, like you definitely want to have that amount to get started, and you want to go all in. And by all in, I'm not trying to say if you have no money in the bank or just 10,000 in your bank, the last 10,000 to your name, and you hate eBay and Amazon and arbitrage and thrifting so much. Like, I'm not going to be the one to tell you to just, neglect your wife and kids and everything to go do that. Now, if you're single, sure. If you're not, then like you should go all in mentally and, be really good with structuring your day. Maybe spend 4 days a week doing wholesale and 2 days doing what you love doing. Spend the beginning of the week doing wholesale because it's harder. So at the beginning of the week, you want to use your strong mental energy on wholesale because it's new, and you could do retail arbitrage and all that stuff in your sleep. So you save it for the end of the week, probably Saturday or Sunday, because it's like you don't need any mental energy for that, or Friday or Saturday. Because if you have to go in between wholesale, retail, or you do both at the same time, there's a thing called context switching where people are not aware of it. And I wasn't aware of it earlier. Where when you switch from one task to the next, like people don't realize that there's a lag of time between one task to the next, that just the level of focus just disappears. So the more context switching you're doing in the day, you're just wasting time and focus. And people who context switch all the time, there was a graph or some survey I saw done. It's about 70% of your time is wasted context switching. So if all you did, if you have 160 hours in a week, you sleep for 40 hours, you have 120 waking hours, and you're going back and forth between tasks, like you're wasting 100 of those hours. You're wasting 90 of those hours. Like people think, oh, I work 90 hours a week. I work 100 hours a week. I'm productive. # Gary V. Like they think they're doing that but they're not, because they're context switching a lot. They're going back and forth. Like just if you could just do one. A lot of times people do that. And this is getting real psychological and these are all things I figure out about myself, is because the moment you're doing something and something gets hard, like your brain naturally wants to stop. Like it either wants to go to an easy task, or you want to read a blog because you think that's learning. But like what you're doing, what was hard, that moment it got hard, is when you need to start thinking about it a little bit more, and that is the hard part. But people's brains automatically want to like suppress and do something a little easier. So they context switch, and then they get distracted. But distraction is not even what I'm talking about. It's just a switch. They switch to maybe, okay, let me check my sales, and then maybe look to add a new SKU or try to like source somewhere because it's what they know. But then when they come back, they lost not only the time doing another task, but the focus was 70% of their time they just lost switching. So it's like if all you do is block off Monday to Thursday, which is Monday to Wednesday through Wednesday to the beginning of the week, that is when your brain is at the highest level, provided that you took a Sunday type of break or unplug time period on Sunday. Monday through Thursday is like, or Wednesday is like when your brain is absolutely the most highest level, and that's what you should be doing. And also parts of your day, the first 5-6 hours of your day is when you definitely need to just do the hardest task, which is if you're coming to a new business, like you have to do that. You can't save that new business for the end of the day. Like you do you save your business, those tasks for like anything retail arbitrage based or anything that you know how to do. You save it for after lunch. After lunch, you get drowsy, you focus on that. That's how you should work your day. So those little productivity stuff, I love it. I didn't know those things back in the day. I was just white knuckling everything. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for feelings. I don't have time for psychology. I don't have time for all this. I'm just gonna work, check my sales. And all I did was check my sales, honestly. I don't think I did that much work. But yeah, so that's kind of the advice. I don't know, most people won't give that type of advice, but that advice I think is the most important thing to get started. Is like, make sure you have a buffer, and just make sure that you know, for the newbie, you block off those types of those time blocks to give yourself a chance. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for you. You're going uphill.
Jonathan David, man, dropping more knowledge bombs than I could have ever imagined. I love the ending right there, going over the psychology. And I think a big takeaway from this video is, listen, if you're going to start a new business, regardless if it's wholesale or it's a pizzeria or whatever you're going to start, it takes a lot of energy. It's like a rocket ship. And most of the energy is going to come from the start, getting it off the ground. And when you're starting a wholesale business, make sure you're committed, make sure you're dedicated, make sure you're putting in the time at the right times of the day, the right times of the week, and you give it your all, because to be successful with anything in life, don't let people tell you that wholesale or starting any type of business, eBay business, RA is easy. Nothing's easy. Nothing. It takes hard work and persistence. And like Jonathan was saying, he felt like he was getting punched in the gut every single day. And I think that's part of being an entrepreneur and being successful. So love the insights. If you guys are interested in starting wholesale, there's a bunch of free videos that I've been posting on my channel. Also, the course that Jonathan went through and we've been mentioning is the Wholesale Formula, which is open for a week. It's actually closing the 21st. And it used to be open twice a year. It's actually only open up one time this year for 1 week, from the 15th to the 21st. So if you're interested in that, I'll put a link down below if you want to check it out. And I have a special little bonus as well. But Jonathan, I appreciate you. Also going to put Jonathan's guide as well, his transition guide from RA to wholesale, sharing his journey. I think it's like over 20 pages, really insightful. So definitely check that out as well. But Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on, man. This was so much fun. And believe it or not, man, it's crazy. Like, I could guarantee you your words are probably going to change like a lot of people's lives. So thanks for coming on, and thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Jonathan, appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Raiken Profit over at RaikenProfit.com, coming back to you with another live video. And today we are joined with my good friend, Ian Bauer. And Ian is actually a student of the Wholesale Formula. He went through the course, and I forget how long ago you joined the course. I want to say it's like 3 or 4 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. 3 years or 4 years?
I think it was 3 years.
So I actually had him on the channel. I believe it was around a year ago, maybe a year and a half. And at the time we had chatted with Ian, and he was doing $40,000 a month, which was very impressive. But we just reconnected recently, and now he's up to $90,000 a month. So we wanted to share his story progressing as a business, doing wholesale on Amazon, talk about how he got started, talk about his experience with wholesale, with the Wholesale Formula, and just catch up and see how things are going. So I just want to welcome Ian to the show. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me on here.
It's awesome, man. Super excited to have you here. So if you guys see me looking left, I'm looking at the live chat. So I see a bunch of people who are starting to pour in right now. I want to give a big shout out to Four-Eyed Hustler coming in with the first comment of the day. We also have Martin from Thrift Store Gold in the house, said he's been busy editing videos all day long. This will give me a break. Definitely a good break right there. We got Joanna Parrish in the house, Maria Nicole. What's up? What's up, everybody? So today's going to be an awesome show. We're going to be talking about wholesale. We're going to be talking about Ian's story. We're going to be talking about the Wholesale Formula. We're going to be giving you guys a bunch of tips. I'm actually going to be giving away some cash prizes as well at the end of the show. So if you're just tuning in, I'm going to be giving away two $50 PayPal cash payments out to 2 guests who stick around during the show and ask some really good questions. So if you have any questions for Ian about wholesale, starting a wholesale business in 2019 and beyond, write them down on a piece of paper, because when I ask you guys to ask questions, I'm going to be picking a couple of the best, well thought out questions to ask Ian, and you could have a chance at winning $50. So before we get in, I do want to let you guys know that the the Wholesale Formula, which is the course that Ian went through, is actually closing tonight. So if you guys have been watching the videos and you've been connecting with Dan and Eric and all the students, we interviewed Emerick, we interviewed Jonathan Davis, we interviewed Sean Humanchuck, we interviewed a whole bunch of Wholesale Formula students. If you guys have been interested in joining, tonight's the last night. It's closing at midnight Pacific. But with that being said, Ian, man, $90,000 a month now. What has happened since the last time we talked over a year ago?
Oh boy. Well, so here's the honest to God truth is last time we talked, I was maybe 3 months out from having quit my full-time job. Like I went all in on my business. And I would say most of my success over the last year to double it has been that completely undivided attention that I've given the wholesale business. So that's probably the biggest part, getting a little smarter about my tactics and dialing in on what I want. It's when you get I mean, I'm learning, I'm learning as I go. Every level of sales volume, every way my business grows, it's like, what do they say? New level, next level, new devil, kind of a thing. So you're learning, that different things apply to you at different levels, so after you hit a certain sales volume, you can afford to be a little bit pickier about how you acquire products. You're not desperately just trying to get anything in there that makes some money, and it feels a lot more, you could cherry pick what you want to do. And I've done a lot of cherry picking over the last year, and it's led to some really, really big wholesale deals, that have just been really great. And that's been what's kind of been the catalyst. So,
well, that's awesome, man. I was super pumped up to hear that you went from 40,000 to 90,000. So publicly want to say congratulations. And, let's take a step back for the people who might not know your story and how you got started. So I know you took the Wholesale Formula course, by Dan and Eric. It's the course we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. And you're actually a coach now over there. So you started as a student, you went through, obviously you're still a student, but you had such success, they actually hired you as a coach over there now. So let's kind of bring them back for the people right now who are maybe on the fence, thinking about joining the Wholesale Formula, or maybe they're just thinking about starting wholesale. I'm assuming you went through the course. What happened after you went through the course? Like, obviously everyone starts from zero. Maybe talk about that first 3 months getting started.
Yeah, I used to know off the top of my head how I performed in the first 3 months. It pays for itself pretty quickly. If you just follow the course, it's laid out for you. It's really simple to implement. I like to talk about, like, you plateau, and then you need to go to get to the next level. You need to make a change in your business. So for the first 3 months, you kind of like, you're getting systems set up. And a lot of people can like languish there if you don't recognize that it's happening. Like there's a tendency to get so obsessed over the little tiny details, like, oh, one of the big things is, do I need a website, or does my logo look good, or what should I name my business, and you like languish in that zone. But if you focus on just getting the system set up and dive in and start contacting people and doing the research, then in the first 3 months, I think that I literally did pay for the course in the first 3 months. And then you plateau, right? So now you've got all these things going on, and instead of just focusing on researching wholesale companies and reaching out to brand owners, now you've got this other stuff you have to do. You have to manage an Amazon account. You have to set up pay-per-click advertising. So I kind of learned that you really can't divide your attention that much. So what happens is then you stop researching and you backslide, and the remedy for that is you hire a virtual assistant, and the Wholesale Formula now comes with a VA Launchpad, a course I created. So they'll teach you how to do that. And so then the virtual assistant does all the research, and now you're just running the nuts and the bolts. And that's like how you get over your first plateau and really start to scale up your business.
So once you went through the course, because there's a big disconnect by, you go through courses and then you get your first result. Like, how did you get that first result? How did you land that first? And I know we're bringing you back like 3 years ago, and we didn't script this. Like, I didn't even give him an outline. So I'm just throwing things at him right now, but I really want to kind of go back. If you could jog your memory a little bit from finishing the Wholesale Formula course to actually landing that first deal, because that's the biggest sticking point that people have joining any program, or even, you know, whatever, is getting that result, actually landing that first deal. And in this instance, landing that first wholesale contract. Can you bring us back, and could you remember how that went down?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, I remember my first wholesale account. It sucked. Don't do what I did. So I got a bunch of these products. This is just a funny anecdote. So if you don't mind, I'll amuse anybody on you who's watching right now. So my very first wholesale product, I found it on Amazon. I was like super excited. There was no FBA sellers. This was going to be a slam dunk. You know, there's only FBM sellers. I know that if I'm Prime, I could beat them in the buy box. So I buy like 250 of these things. There's a low MOQ. It's great. Unfortunately, I didn't realize it was hazmat. And, you know, these were back in the dark ages before you were allowed to sell hazmat with the frequency you can now. So my very first wholesale account turned out to be a dud. And I'm so grateful for that company, because they took every single unit back in inventory. So, but, you know, the first wholesale account, you know, it kind of comes. There's like this joy, like when you're like, wow, it does work. You know, it's like, it's a hard to describe feeling. If you've ever been in sales, right? And you think about your first, you know, knocking on doors or cold calling or whatever it might be, and the door closes on your face.
You're like, no way this is going to work.
Right. Yeah. This is awful. Why did I do this? Everything is awful, you know, but then you get the one, and you're like, all of a sudden you got a fire inside of you. And that's exactly, you know, what we're doing here, because you're going out and you're trying to convince brand owners to let you sell their stuff on Amazon, and majority of them do not want you to sell their stuff on Amazon, which is the beauty of this formula. Because and this is what I say to my coaching students, what you're doing is you are you know, talking your way into their house, and then you are closing the door behind you. You know, and you know, now you've got a situation where you're exclusively dealing with the brand owner. But yeah, so it's a process to get in there. But that first wholesale account is, you know, it's great.
So how does that work when you land your first wholesale account? You know, let's just say somebody goes through the program, they land their first deal. How does that actually work when you're working with the brand owner? Like, how do you get the products? How do you put the deal together?
So it depends on the nature of the deal. And it depends on your personal situation. So I kind of classify wholesale accounts into two really broad buckets. And one broad bucket is basically disposable wholesale accounts, or what I call wholesale arbitrage. You know, basically, you get the account. They don't care that you sell on Amazon. They don't care that anybody sells on Amazon. They don't care at all. And a lot of those wind up not being profitable, but maybe there is a little bit of profit. Maybe, you know, 2 out of their 15 lines are profitable. So you carry them
like
for a little while.
To the bottom, there's a million sellers.
Right, exactly. So you'll jump on for a month or two, and then it races to the bottom, and you dump them, and then you come back on with another product. You know, so with those brands and those accounts, we usually, in the beginning, that's like the majority of your inventory. Depending on your situation, if you've got time to wait out for exclusive accounts, then you should, but I didn't. I wanted to make money. So with those accounts, what you're typically doing is we actually have like a service level agreement. Kind of, it's not an agreement, but we have a service level that we maintain for all of our clients. So, you know, imagine it's kind of like, you know, a free trial of a exclusive, whatever, I don't know, maybe like a Hilton Honors member or something. So you get to see what it's like being on the inside, you know. And so we provide services to our wholesale clients. So we're trying to bring them over to be an exclusive client by servicing their brand account the same exact way we would service an exclusive account. So that's that kind. And then the other kind is obviously an exclusive brand. So with exclusive brands, it's a whole different ballpark. You start out from the beginning as their exclusive seller. And so typically there's an evaluation. So you say, okay, well, let's look and see how much damage has been done. Where's your map pricing? Is it broken all to hell and there's 35 million sellers on there? What is your sales volume like? Where was it? One of the key ways that we leverage our way, leverage sounds like manipulation, but one of the key things that we use to convince a brand owner to bring us on is that we can look at their historical sales data, and typically on brands that are not being managed properly, there's a sales decline on Amazon. And that's because, and this is my favorite story to talk to brand owners, is because, private label is a thing, and these brands that are sleeping on private label, or they don't see the threat, or they're a well-known brand, or they've built up a following, they don't even see this threat coming. And private label is a threat to established wholesale brand owners. So basically, we kind of figure out, sorry, I'm going to ramble. So just bring me back whenever I go off on a tangent, bring me back.
This is the good stuff. Keep going, brother.
So we bring in, we kind of do an analysis on the brand, and we draw up a proposal that lays out exactly how we're going to go about onboarding them. Over the last year, a lot of the work that I've done has been to systematize my whole business. So we are really, really systematized, really strict standard operating procedures. So we break it down into pre-optimization, phase 1, phase 2, post-optimization, and maintenance cycle. And so that all kind of gets negotiated. Or not negotiate, we let them know. There's typically an exclusivity agreement, which we have just a standardized exclusivity agreement. And then as far as getting the product, it's super simple from then on out. It's really just order the product, have it shipped to either your prep center or directly into Amazon, and then do what you say you're going to do. And as long as you could do that, you're golden.
This is a general question right here, but I'm sure people are curious. A lot of people love wholesale and are interested in wholesale because, at least a lot of my audience, Ian, we're typically used to going out and thrifting and hitting Goodwills and Savers and garage
God bless you.
Flea markets and Toys R Us when it used to be open, and all these different RA stores. And wholesale is attractive because, and I know we're going to go more into it, but you land an account, you create a deal, and now you've got the products coming to you. And especially if you got an exclusive deal, or there's only a couple sellers, or there's MAP pricing, you can make a lot of money. But how much money are we talking when somebody, can you put a value on it, or based maybe on your experience, when you build a relationship with a new brand, are you typically selling multiple products on a line? How much money typically does when you put a deal together, how much does that typically make you? I know it's it's probably a poor question, but I'm trying to kind of share with people what they can expect when they land a deal, or maybe some examples.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to put your thumb on, and it goes back to your actual sourcing methodology. So think about it like this: inside the wholesale formula, they teach you these sourcing methodologies, right? But you have to kind of choose who you're going to target as a sourcing when you are sourcing. Okay, so I recommend, if you are brand new to Amazon, if you're brand new to, modifying listings or optimizing listings, you really want to kind of go after the low hanging fruit, right? Just something to kind of cut your teeth on. If you screw it up and you lose the account, it's not a big deal. You haven't completely blown your chance. You can go get another one. But those kinds of accounts, these ones that need a lot of work, that they typically don't have a lot of sales. You're talking in the neighborhood of, it sells 50 to 100 units per month brand wide. Okay.
Got it.
So you could pick those up and you could fiddle around with them. And now's your chance to kind of try out pay-per-click advertising.
Optimize.
Play with optimizing and this controlled environment. So if you move the brand from 50 units a month to 100 units a month, you've just increased their sales by 100%. You look like a hero, Now, so a brand like that will probably be pretty loyal to you if you're able to do that, especially if you keep sharpening that axe, and you get better and you get better and you increase that over and above. One of my absolute best brands, the way they became my best brand was because I was actually at a Wholesale Formula Live event, and I got an email from them, and it said, "Very sorry, we've loved working with you. We decided to eliminate, we've decided to pare down our Amazon sellers. You didn't make the cut That doesn't mean we don't like you. We just, you're one of the newest people. So see you later. And had been one of my best sellers. Right. Yeah. This was like,
at the Wholesale Formula event, man.
Right. Yeah. I'm literally sitting in the audience and I look on my cell phone and I get this. But it was actually cool because I'm at the Wholesale Formula live event and, there's all this stuff about account retention and how to service the brand. And it was really cool because I had like a whole thing of notes on just what to do. and I was literally thinking to myself, like, no, wait, I was going to go back and this was going to be different. And I actually did. I reached out to them and I said, hey, listen, you know what? You're absolutely right. We suck. Going forward, we're not going to suck anymore. And now we are their exclusive seller. They took us back on, and and so now it's become obviously our best-selling brand. And it's our longest-running wholesale account. We do probably $25,000 a month in sales with them. That's, I don't know. It kind of depends. It's somewhat seasonal, so it'll go up and down. But I don't know what the ROI on that is. It's maybe 20% margin on the 25,000. So that's after Amazon fees. So you could do the math to find out what that's worth. And so I think your original question was, what can you expect as far as like a return on investment or with this? And I always think of it in like stock market terms and stock portfolio terminology. So you've got the like high risk, high churn kind of inventory. And those are those ones that I called wholesale arbitrage or temporary wholesale accounts or disposable, and your goal is always to try and move those like really volatile inventory products over into the like really stable section. And to stabilize it, you need to have conversations with the brand owner about map policies and distribution, and what you are doing for them. We have and it's all about systems, man. We have our systems set up so that every single month, at a minimum, we're communicating with the brand and we're saying, hey, here's what we did for you this month. Here's what we optimized. Here's how much we spent on advertising. Here is the negative reviews we've responded to. Here's the questions we've answered. Here's the listing issues we fixed. Every month we have that conversation. And that goes back to that service level, that we provide for our brands. And that's really, that's how you kind of seal the deal. So
cool.
Yeah,
man.
retail. So I got into Amazon selling. My wife, kind of talked me into it. I talked her into it. We talked each other into it. But the deal was, here was the deal, man. I was not going to do it. She was going to do it because she likes to shop. I was like, how awesome is this? You just go shop and then you sell all the stuff online. This is going to be amazing.
Dreams come true.
Yeah, just go for it. It'll be great. And then, of course, that was not the dream it was supposed to be. And so when I got involved in the business, immediately I was like, I need data, I need spreadsheets, I need to never go to Target and look for my inventory ever. So that's how I got into wholesale. So God bless retail arbitrage sellers. I don't know how you do it.
Hey, that's cool, man. Some awesome information so far. I want to take a moment to say hello to everybody in the comments. We got 91 people watching live right now. I want to give a big shout out to Ian really quick. I appreciate Ian coming on. We got a lot of information that we're going to be covering. We're going to be answering a bunch of questions. We're going to be giving away some $50 PayPal cash payments to 3 people. We're upping it to 3. But I do want to say that not only is Ian a wholesale aficionado, right? He's a coach for the Wholesale Formula. He's gone through the Wholesale Formula course. That's how he learned it. But he also has a company that's called Graphic Rhythm Designs that I want to shout out really quick. And you're doing various work for Amazon sellers and for other industries as well. So do you want to talk about that real quick before we start answering some questions?
Yeah, sure. So Graphic Rhythm Designs is basically a company I built just because I saw a big need for like really high quality graphic designs. And so and I work so much in wholesaling with Amazon, it was just natural for me to provide basically the same listing optimization services that I provide for my brand owners. So we have a really talented team of graphic designers, and we could do anything, but we focus on people who are in content creation, content marketers, YouTube creators, bloggers, so on and so forth. Really optimizing your look, your brand, and becoming basically your graphic designer. And then the other side of that that we do is we work with Amazon sellers to really get high quality listing images, enhanced brand content, storefront images, so on and so forth. Yeah, so we can help you out in basically any of your graphic design needs. The Amazon thing is really cool too, because we work with a really talented photography studio. So, it's they take the photographs and we do the graphic design work, and it's an end-to-end thing too. So we do all the research. We find out what you need for your listing. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And that's one of the biggest things too that you can offer different brands is tips and new photographs, right? A lot of these brands, I'm sure they have no idea how to get graphics. They have no idea what pictures. They probably don't even know what a lifestyle picture is, which is so important in your listing. So we'll link it up below. What's the website called? Graphic Rhythm Designs?
Yep, graphicrhythmdesigns.com. And if you go to graphicrhythmdesigns.com/sign up, it's just a quick way if you want to hear from me and Amazon articles I put out and things like that.
Awesome. So definitely check out that resource. Now I want to take a step back to, again, address everybody in the comments. And I'll let you know right now, guys, we're going to be answering your questions, and we're going to be giving away money to some of the best questions regarding wholesale formula, Ian's business, so on and so forth. So what I need you guys to do right now, if you want to be able to win some cash, is number one, smash that like button. We got 93 people watching live. Do us a big favor and hit that like button. And number two, if you want to have a chance at winning $50, I'm going to choose 3 winners over the next 35 minutes. 3 winners over the next 35 minutes. And how you win, and literally, I've been giving out money the last couple of days. So if anyone's in the comments and you've got paid PayPal, let me know. I know Miguel, who was the other one? Alyssa, I paid last night. Ask a question. 3 thoughtful comments regarding the wholesale formula. I'm going to choose a winner. So if you have a question, ask over the next 35 minutes, and I'm going to be picking people randomly. So appreciate all the likes, a bunch of likes coming through. Thanks, Andy, Forride, Dab Kitty, Gina, Kevin, Zach Ott. Zach Ott actually just joined the wholesale formula today as well. I was actually speaking on the phone with him. He's actually a thrifter doing retail arbitrage, and he was looking for more of a long-term sustainable business model. So congratulations, Zach. I'm glad you took that leap of faith. And Zach's awesome. We actually met recently at a Connecticut thrifting meetup. So pumped up for you, Zach. Okay, so let's start answering some questions. And again, I'm going to be choosing some winners over the next 25 minutes. You good to go, Ian? You ready to
I'm good to go.
blast?
Bring them on.
All right, man. Let's see if we can stump Ian. That's the goal right now. Okay, let me go back because there was a really good question that had come through for Maria Nicole. What's going on, Maria? Maria asked, Ian, would you start out on eBay and then, quote unquote, graduate to Amazon wholesale once you have some experience? Or is it okay to just jump right into it?
Yeah, no, don't do that. One of the so no, because eBay, I've never done eBay, just so you know. I sold a stroller. I tried to sell a stroller on eBay 3 months ago, and that's like all of the.
Is it a Bob stroller?
It's a City Elite. If anybody wants a City Elite stroller, no
promoting.
Yeah, don't. You don't need to graduate into wholesale. It's not a place you graduate into. It's perfectly fine to start there. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes I made in my business was to have that mentality. I thought, we'll nibble a little bit, and what I should have done is go big right from the beginning. And that's easy for me to say now because hindsight's 2020, and I've got the confidence to say that. I don't know that I would have had the confidence back then, but definitely you don't need to like start on eBay or start with retail arbitrage. You could just go right in.
Okay, awesome. Great. I'm glad you said that because, I thought that, maybe starting on eBay or Amazon would be a nice natural progression, but I guess it's not necessary. I would say one of the good things about maybe starting on eBay or starting with like thrifting or flipping books is you learn that to be successful, it's all about taking action and being consistent over a long haul. So by like running a business, even if it's like a lower barrier to entry business like eBay, you learn a lot of stuff. You learn what it takes to be successful, but definitely some great insight right there and an awesome question. We got a question from Lynette Kendall. What's going on, Lynette? Great to see you here. Lynette is asking, Ian, I'm just getting started in retail arbitrage, but ultimately I want to get into wholesale. How do you know when you're ready to transition to wholesale? So this is another similar question.
Yeah. So Yeah, it's basically the same answer. When you're ready to transition to wholesale, it's not the next level. It's not a graduation. It's just a different business model. You know what I mean? You can open up a food truck and sell hot dogs, or you can open up a brick and mortar business and sell hot dogs. You're still selling hot dogs. So just choose one. It's just a slightly different business model. I would say, I personally, I couldn't stand retail arbitrage, and that was my thing, is I couldn't stand it. So I really just needed something, that would let me not have to move from behind my computer all day long. So, how you're ready? If you're asking this question, you're ready. So,
we got a question from Tanya Wells. Tanya, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She's been in the comments quite a bit. I know she's very interested in the wholesale model and especially the wholesale formula, but she's run across a problem. She says, how can I purchase the program when I don't have capital? Oh, help. And I want to say right now, before you give your 2 cents, I would use selling on eBay and selling on Amazon, thrifting, flipping, RA to build capital. One of the best things about thrifting, and wholesale is never going to compare with this. Like, you make quick cash, like fast. Like, you go out, find something, flip it, make that money fast. Like, the margins are going to crush wholesale margins all day long when you're thrifting. But the problem is you're going to have to constantly go out, bring it back, find it. And now you have no inventory. And then you got to go out, you got to find it, bring it back. So, Tanya, I wouldn't go into debt or anything like that to get into the wholesale formula. I wouldn't even worry about the wholesale formula now. I would literally just start saving money as much as you can. And the wholesale formula opens up once a year. It used to be twice a year. It's closing tonight. So I wouldn't worry about it. I would save as much money as possible. And then next year, in 2020, when it opens up, make sure you have $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 saved up, and then ask yourself if you're ready. I don't know if you have any advice on that, Ian, for Tanya.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And that's actually the only time that I would modify the answers to the last 2 questions, is if this is going to be a financial burden for you, then definitely, that's a good place for retail arbitrage and thrifting. And, you can really just build up your capital to get going into the wholesale formula. And a year from now, you will have a little bit more swagger, and you will have a little bit more chops, and you'll understand what an ASIN is, and buy box percentages, and so on and so forth.
Awesome. So you guys make sure to keep asking questions, because I'm getting ready to pick a winner within the next couple minutes. I'm feeling that itch. So ask some really good questions. We're going to choose a winner. We got Melanie Johnson in the house. What's up, Melanie? Asking, how has selling wholesale changed and impacted you, Ian, if at all? Thanks for your wisdom. So has selling wholesale at all impacted you, besides getting away from retail arbitrage that you love so much?
Yeah. I mean, it's changed everything. The wholesale formula, and I mean, this is not, this is completely honest, guys. It changed my life. I quit my job. And the way I found the wholesale formula, this is the short version. It was basically, I started my search off by, how can I travel all over the world using travel reward points? Like, that was the initial thing. And then I found like a podcast that they were interviewing somebody who's doing retail arbitrage, and then I did that, and so the reason I bring that up is, in the last year, I have used my Chase rewards points to travel all over the place. Like, that was the dream for me. That was like my number one goal, is I want to travel for free. And because I buy all of my inventory, it's like $45,000 a month in inventory using my Chase cards. So it's 60,000 points a month. I fly everywhere. I go, it's friggin' awesome, honestly. So it changed that. I'm talking to you live from my house, my home office, where I work from. I hang out with my kids all day. They don't go. My daughter's 4 years old. She does not go to daycare for 9 to 10 hours a day. Yeah, I'm home with her. We hang out. We have lunch together every single day. I don't punch a time clock. So my life has changed profoundly because of this. So yeah, I can't be any more honest about it than that.
I love it. I think that's a great transition, Ian, into choosing the first winner. $50 PayPal. I don't know what they're going to do with it. They could buy a nice steak. Maybe they could order a couple wholesale products. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but the winner is Flex Mentalo. I know I probably pronounced that wrong, but hey, that's what I do. Flex asks a question, and Flex, you won $50. I'll explain in a second. How should you develop your pitch, Ian, to wholesalers? Some have suggested creating a script. What are your thoughts? And is any of this stuff in the wholesale formula?
Yeah, this is all in the wholesale formula. So they have a clever acronym for it, the RFP, the R something system, but it's basically how to interact with clients. You know, I'm not a big fan of pitches personally. That's my personal style. I don't pitch anybody anything.
Really?
Right. Yeah, I do. I really enjoy copywriting, and I really enjoy writing emails. And so I've actually kind of built a name for myself as somebody who does more by email. And when I get on the phone with a wholesaler or a brand owner, it's classic sales process. You know, you're not going to get on and say, "Oh, this is what I could do. We're great." You know, because what if you've got it wrong? You know, like what if, you know, classic mistake, get on the phone and you tell them all about your company, all about you, how great you are, how you've helped so many people. You know, and meanwhile, they don't care. They don't care how you optimize listings. They just want to know, how can you get unauthorized sellers off my listings? Like, that's all they care about. But you spent 20 minutes talking about how to optimize listings. So my pitch, quote pitch, is really just ask some questions and shut up and listen. You know, and it's literally, I pick up the phone. Hey, how you doing? This is Ian from so-and-so company. So, you know, I really appreciate you giving me a call today. Why don't you walk me through how you feel about Amazon? Like, what's your history there? What's your brand history with Amazon? And then it's like going to a therapist. They just pour it out. They just let it go. I have a brand owner who calls me every week, and every time she does, I know I'm going to be on the phone with her for an hour and a half talking about Amazon. I just know it because she's got things she wants to know, and she's curious, and I'm her guy. I'm her resource. So that's the pitch. The pitch is just listening to them, because they're now going to tell you everything you need to know to, quote, sell them on your services. You know, their biggest pain points, the things that just keep them up at night. All of my emails actually end with, do me a favor, hit reply, and let me know what the biggest issue you have with Amazon is right now. Okay, and that's it. And so, and you get a lot of no's. We'd like to open up a wholesale account. No. We'd like to open up a wholesale account. No. So my answer is, you know, most people say no. Okay, they said no. Delete, move on. No, I say that's a great opportunity. Wow, they just said no. Why? Why did they say no? What's going on in their life that they're saying no to me? So that's what I say. I say, and I'm, you know, I usually get back with one of a couple things. One of my favorites is I say, hey, you know, thank you so much for responding. I hear you have too many Amazon sellers. I hear that all the time. That's fine. I agree. I have to close your file out. Before I do, I need to put in a reason why you said no. So why do you think you have too many Amazon sellers? I promise I won't email you again if you just shoot me back another message. You know, and so it gives you, you know, and then the success rate on that is kind of low, you know, but it gives you a really deep, you're doing voice of consumer research. You know, your customers, by the way, aren't the people buying your products. When you're doing the wholesale formula, that's just the market that you are selling. It's the market through which you make money. Your customers are your brand owners. That's who you are serving, really. Amazon will take care of the people buying the iPad case or whatever you're selling. You know, you had to take care of the brand owners. And so you build this voice of consumer kind of data based on that. That was a great question, by the way. You made a good choice.
Yeah. Flex, that was an amazing question. So Flex is the first winner of the $50 PayPal. So what I need you to do, Flex, is send me an email at raikenprofit@gmail.com. raikenprofit@gmail.com. Take a screenshot from inside your account so I know it's you, and we'll send you $50. So we still got 2 more winners. So if you guys have any questions for Ian regarding wholesale, how he grew his business up to $90,000 a month, his experience, his honest opinion of the wholesale formula, any questions that you guys have, feel free to ask away. And again, for the folks who are wondering, Ian did go through the wholesale formula course. He's actually a coach for them now. And tonight is the last night that it's going to be open. It's been open for a week, and then it closes for the whole entire year. Why do they close the course the whole year? That's like most courses are just open forever. I'm just curious.
So I don't really have any insider information here, but the
I'm digging for answers.
Yeah. So the idea is, basically they want to focus on their community. They want to create a high barrier to entry to this course. If you're going in, go in. Do it, and then they're close the course down. And then, I mean, these guys, this is not. I mean, I bought a lot of courses, by the way. I bought like high dollar courses, 2,000 and above. And I always find that they preach about their community and the community is great, but they're not in it. Whoever it is, the course creator, they're not really involved. They'll show up every now and then, it's basically like a carpet walk, a red carpet walk, and they wave and they go back. Dan, Eric, and Dylan and the rest of the TWF team, they are in the community every single day. They will answer your questions. They will privately message you to help you sort something out. All of the coaches are also in there doing the same thing. So, so they want to focus on doing that. They want to focus on being there for their clients.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really like that a lot. And I actually had the privilege of meeting Dan and Eric for the first time. I flew into Corbin, Kentucky. Ever been there?
So we go down for the TWF live event and for a couple of other events that we do together, and it's usually in Knoxville, so it's like an hour, I think an hour and a half south of Corbin.
Yeah, they're really good guys. They really do care, and I got to meet their whole staff and everything. And it's an amazing community. We were talking about it before. One of the things that's most valuable about the course, and it's a little counterintuitive, but it's not actually the course, and it kind of sounds like corny, but it is the community. It is being able to ask questions, bounce questions off of coaches, off of Dan and Eric and whatnot. So that's one cool thing. If you guys do get in, you'll have that community, and there's over 3,000 students. So yeah, it's definitely one thing I respect about them. Got another great question from Gina Taschuk asking, do you have particular categories that you reach out to, Ian, when building wholesale accounts? Or do you go after any type of product at all, especially in the early days when first getting started?
Yeah, so in the early days, you go after any product at all. It doesn't matter. And then what happened in my business is we found that we were having more success in some categories than others. And it just wasn't about necessarily well, maybe it was a little bit about the category. Some categories are notoriously difficult to get into. Toys is one. Toy sellers do not really want to deal with Amazon sellers. So over the course of your business, you start to find that you're in these categories, right? And this was another kind of thing that I learned at a TWF event. Another coach was talking about how much success she had by focusing on niches, right? And so in order to do that, you need a little bit of swagger, in my opinion. You can't just kind of reach out and say, hey, we specialize in outdoors products. And what other brands do you carry? Oh, none. Okay, well, I guess you don't really specialize, but if you look at your catalog 3 to 6 months in and you're like, okay, so we're carrying brands in these categories, I think that we can say that we specialize, right? And so that's what we've begun doing. And that's really another one of the key growth factors in my business, is we've niched down into just a few important categories, and we play with it. Sometimes we just really focus on a narrow category, and sometimes, we grab adjacent things that are in that category. But it gives us the ability to get on a phone and knowledgeably talk to a brand owner about their category on Amazon and their products and the experience you've had selling the types of products that they sell. And kind of a specialized approach. So in the beginning, it's kind of like grab all the low-hanging fruit, and then as you grow and you develop and you find categories. Now, to be perfectly honest, if you bring outside knowledge into this business, let's say you have some kind of a retail store or you do eBay sales of particular types of items, you can definitely leverage that in this business.
Great. Awesome insight right there. So think about that. If you have any passions, or if you have any expertise or any outside knowledge, can definitely help you getting started. We got a couple great questions from Dab Kitty Sparkle and Richard regarding your business before the course and the Wholesale Formula course. We'll start with Dab Kitty asking, how long does it take to go through the course, and what was the upsides and takeaways?
I don't know. It's not like it's not like classes in session. You know what I mean? It's you take it as you go. So if you are already working full time for yourself, you can go through it in a week or 2 weeks. If you are working a 9 to 5, or like I was doing, like an 8 to 8 job where you're working all the time, then you'll spend an hour every night watching some videos and participating at your own pace. So it's kind of whatever. And then there's also like some of the content is not for you yet, you know. Like, so you could go through the course and however many hours the videos are, but the implementation part is much longer, you know. Setting up your business if you don't have a business license, you know, and building a website, which, by the way, please do not obsess over building your website. You know, there's different pieces of it, and then when you get to the thing that you need, it's there. So when you're ready to hire a virtual assistant, you're not going to need to do that in the first 2 weeks. But when you're ready to hire a virtual assistant, it's all there for you, and you just go back in, you know. And so it's there for you when you're ready for it, and you kind of take it as you go.
Richard wants to know, how was your business doing before you signed up for the Wholesale Formula?
Bad. I mean, so I was doing RA and OA. I was maybe $500 to $1,000 a month in sales. Like, it was not like
awesome.
Awesome.
I didn't know it was that low.
Yeah, maybe I had a good like $5,000 a month or something like that. But again, there was a lot of things going on. Like, I hated it so much, you know, and it was like, you know, my UPS driver wanted to know what the hell I was doing. There was like Walmart and Target boxes showing up every day because I was doing OA. I did a lot of OA personally. You know, so I was just signing up for these OA lists and just trying to buy anything I could. And I was also working as a chef full time, so that's 10 to 12 hours a day. You know, so it wasn't, you know, once you get into wholesale, it's, you know, you order once a month from a vendor, and then, you know, it goes. So
awesome. Richard is saying, Ian, so all you're saying is that if I sign up for TWF, all I have to do is follow their instructions and take action. I would add some creativity and hard work to it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So anytime anybody says all I have to do, you know,
it's never all you have to do.
It's never all you have to do. Yeah, this is not like a get rich quick scheme. It's not. No. It's, you know, you have to put in the work. You are going to get rejected so much. Okay, you do have to put in the work. You do have to push through frustration. You know, like you can. I go through this with my coaching students, like in the first session, you know, because they always want to know, what should I expect? Like, what's a success rate? Like, how many accounts will I open? You know, so if you contact 100 accounts, 50 of them will respond and say no right off the bat. 50 of them will respond and say, do you sell on Amazon? Which is no, by the way, in case you need to read through the lines. That's a no. You know, so you wind up with maybe 5 accounts that are willing to sell to you. And of those 5, 4 of them won't be profitable. Okay. Maybe the last one will be. So you have to really get used to hearing no. And you have to understand that you're taking everything they give you, and you're taking, and the formula itself, the wholesale formula itself, has evolved over the years, and it's gotten better and better as they've gotten sharper and sharper. They've updated the course so that you are sharper and sharper, but it's still, you're going to have to work. You know, this is a real business, and in a real business, you really do have to put in the work.
Awesome. Great advice. All right. Let's see. Earth Monkey Do says, at my job, they throw away hundreds of Ethernet cables, brand new. And I started taking them home, thinking I'll sell them on eBay, possibly selling with Amazon. What do you guys think? Profitable?
I have no idea, man.
You gotta look it up. You gotta scan it. You gotta download the Amazon seller app. You gotta scan it if there's a barcode and find the product, and then you have to analyze it. You got to take a look at how much it's selling for, what's the sales rank, how are the reviews, maybe list a couple up, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting them for free, then sure, it's probably going to be profitable. The question is it a brand, or is it just like, you know what I mean? Like, is there a package? Are you going to jump on somebody's private label brand and then have an IP infringement claim against you? You know, so just be careful.
Ian, do you know what time it is right now?
No. What time is it?
It is time to choose another winner. So I'm getting ready within the next minute to choose another $50 PayPal winner. We already got Flex Mintello, who came into the house and claimed his first $50. So Flex, if you haven't emailed me yet, make sure to email me. But you want to know what? I am ready to choose another winner. And I think I just found one right now. I am going to choose Alexander John for the next $50 to his PayPal. Alexander came to the show thinking he was going to get some great information and learn about your story. He didn't realize that he was going to win $50. So you just won, Alexander, asking his question, does there come a point, does there come a point where it becomes quite easy to pull the trigger on wholesale orders every month due to how confident you can pick out the right items to buy, or maybe putting together the right deals? Does it become easy, or is, like, everyone's nervous about that first deal, and I'm sure your first deal, you went through and analyzed it 1,000,001 times and you were freaking out. Does it get easier over time to spot a good deal, to spot an opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think that you're asking the wrong question. Your underlying question seems to be more revolved around, how do I get over my fear of, kind of, and then this is something I see with my coaching students too, is especially in the beginning, they're like super cautious, like how many ways can this go wrong? And that is awesome. That is a great mentality to have. Otherwise, your first wholesale account is going to be a hazmat product, which, by the way, just in case anybody wants to know, here's the thing to always avoid that. And this is great for also the new world of Amazon, where all of the brands are gated. So before you pull the trigger and send a purchase order or buy something wholesale, list it on Amazon first, like add it into your catalog on Amazon. That'll clear you of all those filters and hurdles. They'll throw it back if it's hazmat. They'll throw it back if you're not approved to sell that brand or that category, whatever it might be. But yeah, you definitely start to learn how to, spot the deals. There's some wonky things that go on with Amazon, and you get very good at spotting those. You develop a good system for kind of guesstimating what the sell-through rate is going to be. So yeah, it gets really easy. And then of course, as your sales volume grows, the order itself represents less risk. And we're only talking about your first wholesale order, because your second wholesale order, you have your own sales data. You know exactly what the sell-through is. You know what the profit is. So really you're just talking about that first order, and that becomes way easier when it represents 1% of your sales volume or 2%, and instead of like if this doesn't sell, I'm completely, screwed. Now you're in good shape.
Yeah. So we were talking about fear. We were talking about fear before the show, before we were live, and we were talking about, some of the biggest hurdles for your students. And a lot of times it's the fear, it's taking action. They're scared. What advice would you give to somebody? And I know we touched on this a little earlier, but what advice would you give to somebody who maybe they want to join the Wholesale Formula, or maybe they just want to start wholesale in general, but they're thrifting, they're selling on eBay, and they're just scared. They're saying to themselves, well, what if this doesn't work? What if I just purchased a course and it doesn't work, or I'm scared, I'm not smart enough, I don't know if I can pick up the phone and negotiate and this and that. These are legitimate concerns. I mean, what advice would you give yourself back before you started, or give to somebody who's, thinking about it, but they're just scared?
Yeah. So people like you and I, and anybody who's listening to this, we are among a certain segment of the population that knows in their heart that they do not want to work for somebody else, that they do not want to punch a time clock, that I mean, and I guess I'm speaking for myself here, but I have a feeling I'm not just speaking for myself, that freedom is important, and that you are going to break out. If you have broken out, you know what it's like. You can't go back. I'm a broken man.
You can never turn around.
I will never work for somebody else ever again. So that it's going to happen, right? You're going to break out someday. You're going to start your own business. You are going to have the freedom that you want. You can't avoid it. So really, the only thing we're talking about now is, when are you going to break out? So are you going to wait? Are you going to just sit back and wait for the perfect opportunity, because it will never come? Or are you going to dive in? And I'm not necessarily saying dive into the wholesale formula, but
Could be
do
anything.
something. Yeah. The winners in the world are not the smartest. They're not the fastest. They're not the best. They're not the most clever. They are the ones that do things. They're the ones that don't give up and that stay consistent. Like that's to me, that's the universal truth. Like I will beat anybody 100% of the time because I won't give up and they will. So
it's amazing. It's amazing. It's so true. I mean, consistency is key. And once you break out, I still remember working at the Cracker Barrel and delivering pizzas and doing all types of crazy things to make money. Man, once I broke out and I found eBay and Amazon and YouTube, and once you taste that freedom, you can never go back. And it's a beautiful thing. So I highly recommend whatever that is, whatever's in front of you guys, whatever that thing that's staring at you, and you just know you got to jump in. You got to do it. If you don't change, like Ian said, the perfect opportunity is never going to come. You're going to have to make it. You're going to have to change your life. So definitely a great question right there. Okay, we got to choose one more winner right now. And I'm seeing a bunch of great questions coming through. So I'm going to pick one probably within the next minute or so. Maria Nicole, you know what? I'm going to give it to Maria right now because this is a really good question. And this is actually something I want to ask you because you said you went through a whole bunch of courses before. Maria wants to know, and this is a great question. Maria's asking, Ian, can you tell us what differs from the wholesale formula from other courses you took? And I know one thing that you mentioned was the community aspect, right? Dan and Eric are actually in there helping all the time, which is very rare. What else? It sounds like Maria's interested, but she's kind of curious.
Yeah, so I'm thinking back to the courses I've taken. I'm not going to mention any names, but I've taken 2 popular Learn to Sell on Amazon courses. And, to me, both of those were basically just like pre-recorded webinars that they packaged up in the quote unquote modules. And, there was, I like to feel like I'm progressing through a system, not just like, blah, here's some information for you. And you don't know how to put together. It's like somebody dumping a box of Legos on the floor and saying, here, have at it. And those were pretty much the courses that I've taken in the past, with a notable exception of a course about making courses, which that never panned out for me. But so
that's pretty funny.
What makes the wholesale formula different though is really it's hard to describe. They build this course, right? So it walks you through step by step how to do all these things, right? And they think they've answered all of your questions and they've kind of nailed it all, right? Because I've seen this thing progress. I've seen it grow and develop over the last few years, right? But then you go into the community and people are still confused about something and they've got questions or they don't know exactly how it's supposed to go. Then all of a sudden you see they've added it into the course, the answers to those questions, Or, hey, wait a minute, you guys need a template for that? Sure, we'll show you our template. We'll put it together for you right now and we'll make it available to you. So it's this thing that just grows and they're very in tune to their community. So it's different in those ways. There's the course that kind of walks you step by step through the whole process. And at this point is very comprehensive, and then at the same time, it's always growing. At the same time, you have this community of people where whatever situation you are in, I guarantee you there are people just like you in your situation in that course. There are couples that own brick and mortar businesses. There are people from other countries. There are single moms. There are single dads. There are college students who are just like graduating college and just jumping into it. Any walk of life is that person is in that community and they can share with you where they've been and what obstacles they've had to overcome and how they did it.
Awesome. Great insight right there. We definitely appreciate that information. Coconut Naturals is asking, where can I get this course? So there's actually a link in the description. Like I said, the course has been open all week. It only opens one time per year. So it's closing tonight. It's been open all week. It's closing at midnight Pacific. So if you wait till tomorrow, I could promise you, and I'm sure Ian would attest to this. If you try to get it tomorrow or the next day, they're not going to let you. They're not going to take your money. They're very strict with their reputation and their rules. It's not some urgency play. It's literally been open for a week. And then once it closes, like Ian said, they focus on helping the community and helping people to get results. So I'm also throwing in a bonus offer. So if you take a look in the description, I'm giving away, I am an affiliate for the program. So I just want to be 100% transparent about that. Which means if you do purchase the course through my link, I do get a commission, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. It doesn't change anything for you. But since I'm getting something, I want to give back and make the deal even sweeter for you. So if you look in the description, I'm giving $100 PayPal cash back to anybody who purchases. You just got to send me an email at raikenprofit@gmail.com. And I'm giving away a bunch of products and courses that can help you along your journey. So if you guys are interested, definitely check it out. Even if you're not interested in the course or you don't have enough money, start looking into wholesale, start getting your money right for your next move, whether that's wholesale or private label or whatever. There's a million opportunities out there, but you've got to take that leap of faith. You've got to get to the point where you say, you want to know what? I need to change. It might not be the best time. Things in life might be a little rough, but like Ian said, the perfect opportunity is not going to come to you. It's never going to be a perfect time. You've got to change. You've got to make a difference. And I'm sure Ian, I don't know where you were in your life back then. I know you were doing about $500 to $1,000 a month. Imagine if you didn't take that leap of faith. Imagine how different it would be in your life with your family and your kids. And it's crazy to see the trajectory of your life change, making that one decision. Right. So just want to say thanks for coming on, Ian. I don't know if you have any final words, but it's been a lot of fun. And I think we added a lot of value to the people.
Yeah. I would just say that the best time to join the Wholesale Formula was last year, and you missed that. So this is the next best chance. This is the next best chance. The wasted time part of it. If where are you? What are you going to be a year from now? Are you still going to be punching in? What are you going to be doing, or is your life going to be different? That's all I would say.
Yeah. So definitely check it out. They have a 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked. So for any reason before 30 days, if you don't like it or whatever, something in life happens, you just need the money, just hit them up within 30 days. They'll give you their money back. If they don't, which I know they will, I'll give you the money back. They will. I know they
definitely will. Yep.
Again, if you go through my link in the description, no pressure, feel free to do whatever you like. I'm throwing in some bonuses as well. Be sure to check out graphicrhythmdesigns.com to serve any of your graphic design needs, whether that's for helping Amazon brand owners to improve listings. If you're a content creator, if you're a YouTuber, you need thumbnails. I'm actually going to be hitting you up because I'm actually looking to do a redesign as well with some of my social media and stuff. So I would love to work with you on that, Ian, as well, and chat with your team. But I just want to thank you guys. Appreciate you, Ian. For anyone who joins the Wholesale Formula, go in there and tag Ian. He's in the group as well. He's also a coach as well. So if you need any additional coaching, if you're in the group, you can reach out and set that up. But appreciate you, Ian, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and best wishes, man. Hopefully in 2020, we see you at, I don't know, where are we going to see your sales at 2020? Let's just put it on the record right now.
Oh, no way. You're not getting me to pin down a number. Hopefully double, but I don't know. I think that there's a curve. Like it's the resistance starts to get harder the higher you go. I don't know. We'll see.
I tried, guys. I tried to pin him down, but he resisted. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Take care.
See you later.